So what's the difference between feeling an emotion and actually living the experience in that moment
Right.
in the material reality? The material reality is the only difference, right? The emotion
100%.
is still there. So that's how we can manifest our thoughts and our dreams, and hopefully not just about ourselves, right? We have our own personal desires, but once we've achieved those personal desires, like what's next, right? A lot of people, when they get to 60 years old, they've achieved everything that they ever wanted, and now they start asking the deeper questions about.
So welcome back guys to Intromaxx, and today I'm very happy because today we are going to talk about spirituality, about a very amazing things about meditation and how a beginner can start spirituality, how a beginner can start their meditation journey, and they can be peaceful, they can be calm and all those things. So this podcast will be the amazing podcast you have ever seen, because today we're gonna discuss about lots of things regarding spirituality. So today you are going to learn lots of things, so make sure to have your paper and pen, because you are going to learn lots of things today, because we have Eddy with us. So Eddy, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you, Chetan? How's everything?
Yeah, I'm also doing very great, and welcome to our show.
Yes, that's a nice shirt.
Yeah, amazing. So, Addy, like people know, today we are going to discuss about spirituality. Today we are going to discuss about like your music career and all those things. But people want to know that how you started your journey, and how you like came, like what you do, and right now what are the things that you are doing. So first of all, introduce yourself. Then we will talk about your journey. Okay.
Sure. So I'm Eddie. I grew up in the south of France. I have family from Eastern Europe, Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro. Moved to the US about 20 years ago, to New York specifically, and just been building my life here. I went to high school, middle school, university, all in New York, and just kind of tried different creative things throughout that process.
Amazing, amazing. And like as you have told us that you are into music industry, you came to music industry. So like as your journey was going, you are like doing your schooling, your colleges. How you came to this field? Like how do you came to in music industry?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when I moved to the US, I remember my dad buying me the newest iPod, and that was the first kind of taste that I had of music, specifically with myself. And the first song that was on there was like 50 Cent, a Candy Shop or something. It was a really old song. So I was really into hip hop back in the day. And I think around 2011, 2012, I would go back to France every summer. Just, went to an electronic music party, and my world was kind of awakened to electronic music. And that started to burn a little fire inside of me of wanting to explore that a little bit further. So I remember when I was like maybe 17 or 18, I asked my parents for a little DJ set for my birthday, and they bought it, and I just started playing around with it, and I really started enjoying it. And yeah, I just started playing, and my best friend was also starting to play DJ and mixing, and so it was just really an exploration into like music and DJing and things like that. So now it's been 10 years. I'm 27, and there's been a lot of things around the path that have been super fun. Playing for different shows, playing for different parties. I've gotten to play for a lot of like different gatherings, which has been really fun, and always just like bringing people together with the music has been just the thing that keeps it going.
So like mainly you are into DJ, or like what do you mean by electronics? Like electronic DJ, like it
Yeah.
different, like electronic and DJ are different.
So electronic music covers a wide variety of different genres. So we have like techno, house, deep house, anything that really has electronic sound in it.
Yeah.
DJs and musicians are utilizing these like synths and synth basses and different instruments in order to make these really strong sounds to come out. And so electronic music is just a wide variety of the same kind of music, but differently expressed in a different way. Sometimes it might have a steady beat, sometimes it might not. I'm more into like the deep house and techno and melodic music, so ambient music. I'm a big fan of that. So that's a little bit of differentiation of the music.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So, guys, let me tell you that today the person who is with us are like amazing. He's into painting, he's into music, he's into like DJ, he's into like spirituality. Apart from that, he's also doing his like job and business thing. So, like amazing person doing lots of things, very creative person. So, I want to know that how Eddy was a person who was studying, who was doing hard work, then he came to a music industry, then what comes inside and you started you are being too spiritual, you are practicing lots of things, you are practicing spirituality. So how you came to this field? Like it's different, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's always like the thought that like when you're ready to go on the spiritual path kind of finds you. And I would say that that's kind of what happened. So I was working for this company, and my background is in sales, and I joined this entrepreneurship group, and it was with this positive psychologist, and we had like maybe 20 guys in the same container, and we would have like an accountability buddy, and he would help us do various things like making a weekly organizer or a daily action plan, talking to us about how we can actually succeed on our goal, and just like visualizing. We were doing visualization techniques and things like that. And then at one point he introduced us to meditation, and he was kind of selling it like, oh, this is really great, you're gonna calm yourself, you're gonna calm the mind, you're gonna relax, do all these things. So I just tried it. He was like, do it for 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. And I did that for about 2 months. And then I had like a very spiritual dream, I guess you could say, a spiritual out of body experience. I was like in this opera, and it was very strange because I was like the one walking on the red carpet, and there was all these people in the audience, and they were all little, and I couldn't see their faces, and they were all looking at me. And I just kept on walking on this red carpet, and I got to this podium where there was like this weird, I guess you could call it deity or whatever, like was, human being that was like sitting in a lotus position, just like, our legs crossed, had like 6 arms, and had like kind of like a weird like animal face. And it asked me what the key to the universe was. And I said my soul, and I kind of had like the opera, the ceiling was kind of like a vortex, and I just went through that vortex, and then I woke up that morning crying of joy, actually, and I meditated for 2 hours that morning. I'll never forget it. And at the time I was seeing this girl, and I texted her like this experience, and she was like, "You're completely crazy, what are you talking about?" So that was the beginning of that experience, and then things just started to kind of come together. I was questioning things a lot. I was asking a lot of deep questions about myself, and I was having very big experiences in my life that were triggering me. And throughout that process, I became just very interested in Buddhism, Hinduism, reading the scriptures of the Buddha. And that took me on a trip to Nepal and Bali, and traveled a bit there. I did a Vipassana meditation, and yeah, I just couldn't get away from this feeling, how good it felt to be quiet and to be friends with silence. And that was for me a very big shift in my life. And today I still keep up the practice, and it's getting even deeper. I just came back from a 10-day trip where spirituality and prayer and alchemy was kind of the focus of that. So whenever I don't meditate for a little while, I can feel it calling me back, and what calls me back, I would say it's probably the silence, because we're always looking to externalize and express what we feel inside of us. And sometimes our emotions can be all over the place, especially when you live in a big city. I live in New York. So it needs to be enough time to spend inside to perceive ourselves, to just fall away and just forget about your name, forget about your body, forget about your mind, and just like you just give yourself to the world, you know, just be very surrendered to this flow, to this state of mind, and or state of being rather. So that's a little bit, I guess, about the journey and where I started.
So, like, yeah, you have done a 10 days trip right now. So, how was the trip? Like now, how do you feel? Like, what's the difference before 10 days and now after 10 days? Have you feel something different?
Oh, yes. You know, generally you think about, oh, I'm gonna go on these spiritual retreats and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be even more connected. And I think, yes, in many ways you are more connected,
Yeah.
but sometimes growth can take many shapes and forms. And um, you know, if there's a lot of noise in your life, the things that you maybe have not transformed about yourself, or the things that I would call noise on a lower level, cannot express themselves, or you can't hear them, right? And they can't come to the surface. But if you quiet yourself enough, a lot of things come to the first surface. So that's how I would describe my 10 days trip. There was a lot of exploration into consciousness and to just being, you know, sitting around the fire. And you know, I had the beautiful experience of sitting with different plants. I went on a plant journey, but not how most people would think, where they ingest a medicine. It was more, I got together with this apothecary out in Vancouver called House of Origins Apothecary. These two girls, women, super wonderful, Maz and Lux. I've been following them for quite a while, and so we did meditations with plants, and we, you know, imagined the awareness or the energy field of the plant merging with our own aura. And in doing so, you merge the field together and you're able to communicate with the plant through heart-centered awareness. Now, for most people who are like thinking like, oh, well, you know, we're always in the mind, like, how can you communicate with a plant? Plants don't talk. But plants communicate through a different mode of communication, through heart-centered awareness. And they can tell us a lot of different things. They can teach us about, for example, the medicine that they provide, the lessons that they have, and oftentimes where they like to grow, how they look, the color of their shape, if they're tall or they grow in the ground or different things like that, can actually indicate the part of the body that it kind of heals. So I did that for 10 days, or excuse me, that was for about maybe 5 or 6 days, just sitting around the fire, and we made different medicines. And then I went to LA, and I had prepared this trip to go and see Sadhguru, who's Sadhguru, wonderful, wonderful human being. He's the founder of the Isha Foundation,
Right.
organization that is really at the cutting edge of helping people achieve higher states of consciousness, and you know, disassociating also a little bit with our body and our mind, realizing that we are not this flesh and we're not this mind. So I went to go see Sadhguru and did the energy engineering completion, and that was a really beautiful experience. So coming back after these 10 days, do I feel more calm? I think sometimes people can underestimate and think, or overestimate and think, yeah, well, meditation is supposed to calm you. It's supposed to do this and do that and do this. And meditation is not actually something that you do. It doesn't have a benefit, I would say. It's just something that you are. You are either meditative or you're not meditative. And when you're meditative, you're focused, right? You're present, you're mindful. And so coming back from these 10 days, I have a lot to integrate. And my practice has gotten deeper, and there's a lot of other opportunities that are presented in front of me to take action. So I'm kind of slowly integrating that process, and it was just beautiful, full of miracles. I mean, it's incredible how in the present moment, when we just allow ourselves to just accept what is, right? Maybe we don't like how we feel, maybe we don't like the situation in our life, or maybe we're in a tough financial situation. I've been in that situation before, and that put a lot of stress on me. But in accepting that, even that non-acceptance of like the situation, there sort of comes a different state that comes into you. And you're open. You're open to see clearly what the possibilities are around you.
Right.
And so that's what I would describe the last 10 days really taught me, is that we are here now, and that this moment is perfect. And from this moment, we can create unlimited possibilities of expression. And the only way to do that is to abandon ourselves. And when I say abandon ourselves, abandon the concept of Eddy, or abandon the concept of my body, right? Sometimes that's a little hard, but how we can abandon is just to be fully present and to use our power of attention to channel it super strongly into the present moment. Whatever you're doing, if you're typing on the computer, if you're writing, if you're DJing, really easy to get connected in the flow state, right? Everybody talks about the flow state. So be really in tune with what you're doing in the present moment, whatever it is that you're doing.
Right, 100%.
Experience.
How do you came to know about Sadhguru?
I don't recall the moments where I came upon Sadhguru. I think it was maybe a couple of years ago. I watched the video of him. And you have an internal compass inside of you that when people say something true, or you can resonate with that. And I would just listen to Sadhguru, and I would resonate a lot with what he said, because it wasn't like a mentality of, it was kind of like the Buddha, right? Like, don't believe me, go experience it for yourself. But this is where the door of perception opens, and where you can get deeper into your different dimensions. So that's how I discovered Sadhguru. And what was it? It was in December last year. I wasn't in the full acceptance of the present moment. There was things that I was trying to change about my environment, myself. And I found the Shambhavi Mahamudra, which is a Kriya that Sadhguru has transmission to the world. It's an ancient yogic practice that was passed on by the first yogi, Adi Yogi. And it's an ancient yogic technique that can actually alter the state of the body, of the mind, and can activate the chitta, which is our pineal gland and our Agna chakra. So I saw this Shambhavi Mudra, and I was called to do the meditation, and I did it for about 6 months. And then I did the inner engineering, and that's how I ended up in LA to go visit Sadhguru.
Amazing. Such an inspiring thing. Like,
yeah.
Wow. So now you are like such a great, yourself, as you told us that in a busy city, in a busy state, like it's very difficult to, people don't think about themselves. They are just here and there, and all the rush and all the things are going on in their life. So how's your life going on in like New York? So like what's like, how is New York? Tell us something about New York, and how is your life going on there? And tell us about that.
Yeah, New York is great. I mean, it's such a melting pot of different energies. You have tons of different people from all backgrounds. You can go to a party and be with like 20 different nationalities. So there's a lot of diversity of groups of people, which is really great. Can create a lot of conversation and experience, and just being in the energy field of other people that have been in different countries, that have experienced different things is just so enriching. So New York is lovely in that perspective. It's also a city where there's a lot of opportunity if you want to expand your career, if you want to expand also your spirituality. It's actually a very small community in Brooklyn. I live in Brooklyn. There's always something to do, whether you want to go and have like a sing along where you're like singing in a group of people and just expressing, whatever comes to your voice, using our instrument of the voice. If you want to do meditation, qigong, there's so many different things that are available here. It's great. I just moved into a new place about 3-4 months ago. So this has been kind of like a dream place that I wanted to have for a little while. And, thanks to also the meditation practice, this has allowed me to manifest this and to focus on myself.
So do you believe in manifestation?
Yeah, manifestation is a natural part of the human being. I mean, when I was earlier on in my spiritual path, I was always looking at the sky, right? And the sky is so beautiful, and oh wow, and God is up there, and we can ascend and reach these different dimensions. And it was very like spirituality woo-woo. If you've ever had a spiritual conversation with a person that is more practical and logical, you could definitely feel the resistance there. But after some time, after also listening to Sadhguru, listening to various other teachers, and just experiencing different states of being in myself, just realizing that we ourselves are like a computer. We have a hardware, which is our brain and our body. It's an instrument. It's the most sophisticated instrument on the planet. Sadhguru always says this, I love it. And we have the software inside, and it's about what you're feeding it. And manifestation happens as a result of thinking certain thoughts and feeling certain emotions. So if you can take a thought, I really dream of a farm where all people come together in a community where we grow food and all this stuff. So you have that thought in your mind, and just when you have that thought, the original thought comes to your mind, you feel a sensation of what it would feel like to be there, right? So I'm dreaming of this farm and the community and food and animals, right? You dreaming of this in your mind, you have the thought, and the emotion, the pleasure, you can call it, the desire, the love, the happiness of being there is already in your body. It's already here and now. That's why we say there's no future or past, because it's a sequence of all these now moments. So you take this thought, you couple it with this emotion, suddenly with this software and this hardware, this computer, this instrument, you are broadcasting a very big message into the universe. It's almost like a satellite, right? It broadcasts a message or radio signal through our aura, through our energy, and the universe starts to, it gives you whatever you want.
Yeah.
So
if you're negative, it will give you negativity. Like, you should be always positive.
Yes, but being always positive is like also unrealistic sometimes, right? Because we are human and we make mistakes and we feel certain ways sometimes, and you have to feel everything. But do you have to associate with all these feelings? No. Even the good stuff. Okay, I'm dreaming of this farm. I feel the emotion of there, but then I'm not like, oh, when am I going to get the farm? When am I going to get the farm? When am I going to get the farm? You just leave it be. Because if you create that resistance, you're acting like, oh, I don't have it already. But you already felt it in the emotion. So what's the difference between feeling an emotion and actually living the experience in that moment?
Right.
In the material reality. The material reality is the only difference, right? The emotion is there. So that's how we can manifest our thoughts and our dreams, and hopefully not just about ourselves, right? We have our own personal desires, but once we've achieved those personal desires, like what's next, right? A lot of people, when they get to 60 years old, they've achieved everything that they ever wanted, and now they start asking the deeper questions about spirituality and what is my life, and they feel called to doing philanthropy or to help out other people that are less fortunate. And ultimately, I think this is the beauty of the human being, is that once we've achieved our own personal desires, we can look towards our collective healing and collective desire.
100%, 100%. Like, amazing. So, as we have told lots of things about spirituality, there are lots of people who are not able to understand the term spirituality. So can you just tell us that, according to you, what do you think, like, what exactly spirituality is? Like, what do you mean by this word?
Right. It's a bit hard to describe, because I find that
according to you, that's the reason I have, because it's a very broad thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. The reason it's hard to describe is because the moment that you start to intellectualize your experience, let's say you have a very profound experience, you saw Shiva or you saw God, this intellectualization, the mind has a tendency to grasp and to want to attach itself, to bind itself to certain experiences, and then you make a conclusion about it, and then you just get disconnected. So I heard this quote, someone said it, I can't remember who it was, but it said, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. I thought, yeah, well, that's really interesting, because it suggests that before this flesh, before this name and this everything that I am right now, there was something, because there is something. So for someone who doesn't really know what spirituality is, I feel a bit like I can't tell you what it is. I know you want the answer. You're going to be listening to this podcast. You're going to want an answer. But the truth is that if you just close your eyes and just go inside, you'll feel a certain life energy, right? And today the science has caught up to spirituality in that it's pretty much proven that everything is energy, and that we are light beings in our body, in our cells. We have trillions of cells, and each one of those cells has light in it. So we are kind of like the sun. So, you know, we look at the sun, but we are the sun inside. We have this electrical energy, and so I would say that is what spirituality is. It's not like, you know, all these other things that maybe the spiritual community went through, or a spiritual bypassing, we always call that, which is like when you're like, oh, everything is love and light and we are one, and let me pull out my crystals and let me do some voodoo stuff, and like that exists. That's a part of spirituality, right? It's you're engaging with the material world and the spiritual world, but fundamentally it's, I don't know how to express it. It's just like
you can feel this, like the spirituality is something that you can feel, rather than understanding it and making it complicated. Like,
yeah,
able to feel this, like this is amazing. So like, what do you think? There are lots of things like apart from spirituality. It is like what do you think about numerology, astrology? Do you believe in that? Like do you have any connection with that?
Yes. So I'm actually an astrologer. Something I didn't tell you.
Yeah, but, you are an astrologer.
Yeah.
You have done the studies and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I love astrology because if we take the prerequisite that everything is energy, that means that the planets themselves are energetic beings, right? So the first thing we need to accept or understand is everything is energy. Cool, right. We got that. We learned that in science class. Second thing is a little bit different. It's not up here, it's in the heart, is realizing that Earth is a living being. We call her Mother Nature, Pachamama, right? Or, you know, Shakti, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
The Earth is alive. It's a living being, and it's emitting a certain frequency. And so every planet is emitting a certain frequency. And if you look at the light spectrum, this is the light spectrum, we only can see about this much on the light spectrum. Only about like 1% or something. So the rest of that light spectrum is invisible to us. So when we say, oh, this is my reality, I see my reality, oh, I hate my job, I hate this, I hate that, but your eyes are open. You're seeing 1% of the light spectrum. 99% is invisible to you. So how can we say we know reality if we cannot see the 99%? We have to close our eyes and go in. Right. So when we look at the planets, they are emitting these frequencies and they're touching us on Earth throughout this 99%. Also on the 1% of what we see, we can see Saturn, the rings, all these different things. But we are experiencing the planets in a spiritual way inside our body, right? And so when we're looking at astrology, I wouldn't say that astrology is very focused on prediction, although that's possible. But astrology originally, when it was expressed in its first ways, it came from a very, very long time ago in the desire of wanting to understand what is our universe. But later, afterwards, it was used as a tool for healing. Okay. So it was used as a tool for personal development. And specifically, there's a branch of astrology called medical astrology, where each sign, each house, and relates to the body parts. Okay. So when we think about Mars, Mars is a planet that has a very hot, intense energy. it's, planets of the warrior, of aggression, of, things like that. It's related to the element of fire, right? So this is where we get a little bit further into the medical astrology, is like, how does Mars is being shaped with the sign that it's in, and how is it affecting our body, and how can I learn about myself through astrology so that I can understand what my karma is, how I can transform it, and understand what is happening in my being.
Right.
Yeah. And these days I look at astrology and I'm like, it's so fascinating. You can never stop learning about astrology. But these days I'm figuring out ways that I can experience my astrology instead of intellectualizing it. So I would be like, oh, my Mars is in Aquarius, or my Sun is in Aquarius, right? And I'm like this and I'm like that, and my body is like this, and I'm very electric and all that stuff. But how can I experience the Sun in Aquarius? Close my eyes. Well, I can feel the energetic thing around me. So, that's where I'm being called with this. And numerology too. I mean, there's like 9 numbers. We discovered those numbers. They were here before us.
100%. So like, it's amazing, and this session was amazing. Like, we have talked about lots of things, but the thing is, the viewers who are watching these videos, basically they are new to this. So like, what do you think, like, how they can start their spirituality journey, how they can start doing meditation? Because the big problem that people face is they are not able to concentrate in while doing meditation. As you told us that you have done 2 hours of meditation, but a normal person cannot do even 15 minutes or half an hour of meditation, because as the world of social media, influencers and all those things, the attention span of people are very low. Like, they want entertainment, the regular dopamine is releasing in their head. So the thing is, they are not able to concentrate. So what do you think, how a normal person, how a common person can start doing meditation?
Yeah, great question. I always say if you've never meditated before, you don't have a bias towards it because you never experienced it. I say this to my friends who they never meditate, but every person has been in a meditative state. Every single person on this planet knows what it feels like to be in a meditative state. A lot of people choose to use substances externally outside of them to put them into a meditative state, and you can put yourself in a meditative state with anything, working, being mindful, eating food, smoking weed, or anything like that. But if you want to get into meditation, I would just say, give yourself the opportunity. There's 24 hours in a day. Give yourself the opportunity for 5 minutes per day, every day. Stay consistent. It doesn't matter how that you do it long. It just matters that you do it every day. For 5 minutes out of that 24 hours, instead of being out into the world, you're in.
Yeah.
And instead of being Eddy, I'm the DJ, I'm this, I am that, all these stories that you have about yourself, which are beautiful. We want to create our world. For 5 minutes a day, you just sit and you forget. You consciously decide, I'm not Eddy, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind. And I just sit. And okay, when you're starting out, your thoughts is going to be crazy, right? You're probably going to realize how much of a psycho you are. If you sit down for 5 minutes, your mind's going to go crazy. But in that process, it's just like watching cars, just watch them, let them be. Okay, this good thought here, this memory, because your mind is always want to be busy. So you just disassociate with your mind. Let it get the weeds out. Let it get all of its energy out. Okay, all the good thoughts, all the bad thoughts, don't associate with them. Even the emotions that the thoughts are creating, you just see them, just watch them, and just let them pass by. And then after a while, maybe not in 5 minutes, because sometimes it takes about 5-10 minutes to get into a meditative state.
Yeah.
But eventually you'll have a clarity and you'll feel a very inner peace, right? And even that inner peace can also be an illusion in itself. So just watching everything. being the observer, right? It's like if you get up one morning and you say, today, I'm going to do it like this. Everything I do, there's going to be the doing and there's going to be the observer watching me doing. Imagine if you were being watched all the time. I think most people don't think about that. But if they thought, oh, God is watching me, if they believe in God, then they would maybe watch a little bit more of their thoughts and their emotions and realize, okay, this is not me. Maybe I've cultivated a certain thought for a long time that now it's automatic. And so that's what the mind is. It's a series of impressions, right? Like I have an impression on you right now, Chetan. I have an impression on my life, on love, on everything. And it's like a feedback loop. I'm consistently recreating the same scenarios in my life to make me successful or to help me learn a lesson, whatever it is. Like you said, that when you try to put something out into the universe, it gives you what you want. You want to be a victim, it gives it to you. So in that meditation, just say, Namaste, I am no one, I'm just here. I'm being. Right now is all I have. Tonight, I could go to sleep, not wake up in the morning. So I just stay for 5 minutes like this. I'm good. And that's it.
Amazing, amazing. So like, so humble and so like pretty answer. Like it is so good. Like it's too easy. Like you haven't done all the things too complicated. It's too easy to understand your languages. And the thing is that guys, it's very easy. Just stay for 5 minutes for next 21 days, because 21 days creates a habit. So just take 5 minutes of your day, take a deep breath and just concentrate. That's it. If you are doing this for the next 21 days, definitely you will get the results, as Eddy has told us in this podcast. And then you can just go to the comment section and you can just drop a comment there that how was the experience, do you love it, and what was the experience that you have faced. So make sure to like this video, make sure to subscribe this channel and do this 21-day ritual, and then you can just comment down below. So Eddy, like if somebody wants to connect with you, so I will share your LinkedIn profile and Instagram in the like description section, right? So I can share your LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. LinkedIn, Instagram, SoundCloud, if you want. I put a lot of mixes on there. If you want to talk about it. Sometimes I offer also a little bit of meditation or astrology reading. If you're wanting to get a little bit more insight into like, what is my patterns, what are my life, what are different things. At the end of the day, whatever you don't accept, just accept it, and then it will go. And then you come into this beautiful state of miracle, full possibility to be present. So
yeah, miracles seriously happens. Like people think it don't happen, but it happens. So
yes. And another thing that I just wanted to say is, because it's on my mind, is that this past year I learned a lot about gratitude. And before I would say I'm grateful for life, I'm grateful for things, but taking a deep breath and embodying the gratitude and saying, you know what? Thank you for life. Thank you for all of this. It's so beautiful. I have a roof over my head. I woke up this morning. My life is perfect. My family is alive. All these different things. Alhamdulillah. Thank you. Right? And just embodying it. Because when you put it into your body, you feel it. And you're going to get goosebumps. So
100%,
after that meditation, saying thank you. Just whatever it is that you're thankful for. Just say it and feel it in your body. This will do so
early in the morning and say thank you.
Exactly. Wake up, the first thing you say, thank you. Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing.
Thank you to you, Chetan. Thank you to all the watchers.
You for being in this podcast. Like it was an amazing session. So guys, if you want a part 2, write down in the comment section. Thank you, Eddy, for being a guest in our show. It was amazing. And thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Chetan.
So guys, make sure to subscribe this, because if you want videos like this, make sure to subscribe and share it with your friends. Thank you.